Hello guys and welcome to this Vino Plonk production. I'm your host Gareth Archer, and in this video I'm going to be bringing you guys up to date with some stuff that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. So this video is 2 weeks in the making. The reason why I say that, I recorded this video, or the subject, the information in this video, I recorded this got to be 5 times last week. But I went through different phases of whether I wanted to make it a bubbly happy video, a down and depressing video, or this not down and depressing video, but I wasn't feeling too good at particular points last week, and I was wondering or considering whether I should reflect that in the video or still make the video bubbly and upbeat on that kind of stuff. Well, hopefully you can tell from my demeanour that this is going to be an upbeat bubbly video, because some things happened late last week that put me in a really good mood and have influenced this video in a lot of ways. So before we go any further, you may notice and may hear some things have changed in this room. So not last weekend, the weekend before, the weekend of the 3rd and 4th, and actually on the 5th, I helped my mum and sister move house. More on that momentarily. As a result of that, the bed that was behind me that I sat on to record these videos is now gone. In fact, I stepped on that bed 2 nights ago around my mum's on Saturday when I went up there to help out with their internet and take my sister's doll's house upstairs for her. There's a few things, some other things they needed me there for, to help take things up the stairs and that sort of thing. So that bed's now gone up with them, and as a result this room is far more echoey and I don't have that bed to sit on. I am currently sat on a kid's chair or a school chair. It's actually quite sturdy, so I can actually sit on this quite manageably. I'm not going to say comfortably because it's not comfortable, but I will be at some point reissuing, bringing my computer chair back into the frame and sitting on that, although it's broken in a way. Anyway, so that's where the bed's gone. Hopefully the echo isn't too apparent on my lavalier mic. It would be if I was recording using the inbuilt mic on the camera, but hopefully with my lavalier mic it's not too apparent. So before we get into the move, and the move went fine, by the way, I should say at this point, the move went absolutely fine. As of this weekend they're completely unpacked, which bloody hell, I think they're insane for unpacking that quickly, but everyone else I've spoken to has gone, oh yeah, I'd be the same, I want to unpack as soon as possible. A lot of people have what I would call OCD tendencies. Nobody likes to live in untidiness. I'm the opposite. I can live in a tidy place, I can live in an untidy place. It's just, that's who I am. I have almost the opposite of OCD. I don't get anxious or antagonistic. I don't get stressed about untidiness. So as a result of that, I don't understand when people are like, oh, we spent 2 days unpacking everything, which is a mammoth task because it took them 3 weeks to pack. So to take 3 weeks to pack and then 3 days to unpack was a bit bizarre, as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, they're fully unpacked now and they're very happy where they are. So I can now reveal on camera, I can show you on camera that the Harry Potter Hogwarts collection did arrive 2 weeks ago, is intact, it was brand new, I cellophaned it, and of course it is glorious. Just a quick synopsis on this, if you don't know what the Harry Potter Hogwarts collection is, it's all 8 films. It's 8 films, isn't it? Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's all 8 films in a rather nice set, and essentially this is the same discs that are in the Wizards collection. The Wizards collection is a bigger, more broader collection with a few little bit trinkets here and there in that set. This is a more concise, cut down version, not cut down in terms of discs, but in terms of packaging, and contains all of the content that was on the Wizards collection, because long story short, the Wizards collection is quite expensive. It's £250 to £300 depending on where you buy it from. This I bought for £100, so far more affordable and a rather nice set. It's now the third time I've owned this set, but it's now not going to go anywhere. And I really like this set in a lot of ways. It's a 31 disc set. It contains a lot of content. Also, I can now confirm, because I've done a bit of research, the 4K set of Harry Potter. The first two films are in native 4K. The rest of the films are upscaled to 4K, and it is a bare bones set. It doesn't contain all the special features this one contains. It's only an 8 disc set, which is the amount of films that are in the set. So that's a shame, but hey ho. The next thing to arrive last week, not this week, last week, and at the time, as we'll discuss in this video, I wasn't in the best frame of mind. When this arrived, it alleviated some of my feelings. I was in a bit of a slump. I wasn't feeling particularly good. Again, we'll get to that momentarily. But when this game came along, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've now completed it, and then we'll be going back through it multiple times to get the platinum and some other bits and bobs. And that is Shadow of the Colossus for the PlayStation 4. This is a glorious game, guys. I highly recommend anybody pick this up. I played the PS3 version to death, never completed it. I've now officially completed Shadow of the Colossus for the first time. Yeah, I've played this game to death on the PlayStation 3, so it was an automatic for me to buy the PlayStation 4. Actually, as a result of buying it on the PlayStation 4, or rather pre-ordering it on the PlayStation 4, I actually sold my PlayStation 3 a few weeks back because I knew I was going to be getting this for the PlayStation 4, and I owned the PlayStation 3, you know, because of Shadow of the Colossus on the PlayStation 3. So I've now sold my PlayStation 3, which, you know, helped out with the end of last month, to be completely honest, which, you know, speaking in a chat, a Skype chat that I frequently am a part of on a day-to-day basis, there's a few people that sometimes a bit of extra at the end of the month is rather nice. So we're now going to move on to a couple of bits that arrived yesterday. But to give a bit of context for those, we need to go back to last week. So what happened last week? So as I said, I helped my mum and sister move. Now, I'd offered to pay for a takeaway on the Monday that they actually moved. I paid for a fish and chips. Long story short, that fish and chips cost far more than I was expecting. Secondly, throughout the weekend, there were some other bits and bobs that cost me more money than I was expecting. Now, my mum owed me some money, and anytime I said to her, do you want me to go to the shop and get you something, I'd say to her, add that to the tab. Excuse me, add that to the tab. Kept saying that. And I'm not, obviously, having a go at my mum or anything, but there was no indication when she was going to pay back the money. She has now paid back that money. So I can put that out there, that she now paid back the money. Everything's fine as far as that's concerned. But I would say to her, just add it to the tab, add it to the tab. So the weekend cost me more than I was expecting. On the Monday, or rather the Tuesday, when I got back home finally, after 3 days away, I checked my bank account. And I should have checked it a day before, because the problem that occurred in my bank account occurred a couple of days before that I actually looked at my bank account. There's a bit of a snafu. Long story short, I was charged multiple times for the same thing and can't get my money back. So that put me in a bit of a really big slump, to be honest. I was like, oh bollocks, what do I do? Now, I don't know if I said this in a previous video, but I was thinking of selling both my PS4 and my Xbox One to get a PlayStation 4 Pro. However, doing some research, it wasn't worth it to do that. Long story short, I sold my Xbox One. I didn't need to sell my Xbox One specifically, but I sold my Xbox One. So I went downtown, sold it to CX, which is a pawn shop chain here in the UK. I then proceeded to walk around town and was window shopping, mainly. I then came back home, got some sleep, got up, and slap in the face with regrets. Just spat on the camera. That's not very nice, is it? Instant crushing regret, and I mean really bad regret. I felt horrible when I woke up on that Wednesday and I went to work. I felt down, I felt tired, I felt sick, my appetite was non-existent. I felt horrible. Now, all of those things I just read out sounds like depression. If I was to quote, if I was sat in front of a doctor right now and say those things, they turn back to me and say, you've got depression. All those tick boxes say depression. I was feeling horrible. Now, one of the reasons why I sold my Xbox One is I was going to use that money to buy a couple of PlayStation 4 games. Well, let's just say those PlayStation 4 games didn't seem as alluring as they did before I sold my Xbox One. I was in a right slump, and I mean a right slump. I was not feeling good. Yada, yada, yada. So on Friday, was it Friday? On a Friday, I called up Amazon because on the Friday before the move, before I helped my mum and sister move, on the 2nd, that would be the 2nd of February, I got a email from Amazon to say there's a code called Read40, plug it into Amazon when you go and buy a Kindle Paperwhite, and you'll get £40 off the Kindle Paperwhite. Now, I think I did speak about this in a previous video. I want to get to reading a lot more. So a Kindle Paperwhite would be an interesting thing to buy, but more on that later on. So I called up Amazon and basically said the Read40 code no longer works. Long story short, they gave me a £20 gift card voucher towards a Kindle Paperwhite. And it buy a Kindle Paperwhite, which I do feel slightly guilty about, but I did speak to several people about this, and a lot of them say I wouldn't buy a Kindle Paperwhite. And it already had some things in my basket, in my shopping cart, if you will, that I was going to buy anyway. Now, I dilly-dallied over what I was going to buy numerous times over. But long story short, they essentially just gave me £20 towards something in my basket that I was going to buy anyway. Long story short, Amazon significantly reduced the bank snafu I had, if you will. So what did I buy? Well, first of all, I bought Monster Hunter World for the PlayStation 4. I've played about an hour or two of this game, and I have to say, it's really getting its claws into me, and I will be playing this quite a bit over the coming weeks, months, what have you. It's a gorgeous looking game. I say that at this point, it's a gorgeous game. So is Shadow of the Colossus, but this is a really good looking game, especially the fact it's multi-platform. It's a really good looking game, and I am looking forward to digging my teeth more into it. So what's the other thing I bought, or had in my basket that I bought? Well, bit of a spoiler alert, although I'm about to show you anyway. I was speaking about buying this last week anyway, and it is, of course, the Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin, or the Game of Thrones books, which they are now come to be known as. So yes, I took the plunge and bought the Song of Fire and Ice series. This essentially cost me £4.95 for 7 books, which I could not pass up. I could not pass up a book box set or a book set that I was going to buy anyway, costing me a £5. That was ridiculous in a lot of ways. And actually, funny enough, when you look at the breakdown, of where it applied the voucher when I actually went to my basket, it actually took the money off of this set, not off the game, which is quite funny. So as far as I'm concerned, I spent a £5 on the Song of Fire and Ice series. I will be reading through these at some point. I was going to start reading through them very quickly, but for reasons I'm sort of going to reveal, I won't be reading through them as quickly as first anticipated. Now, some people are saying, why did you buy them now? Because I think in one of my previous videos, I did speak about that I was going to hold off on buying these for a bit because I was going to buy them piecemeal, buy each book as I read through it. But believe it or not, the second book, is it the second book? The second book is £17.99 on Amazon, whereas this whole set is on Amazon for £30. So it's a bit of a no-brainer to go for the complete set rather than spending £17 on a single book, as far as I'm concerned. I was going to hold off on buying this set because a lot of people have said that they find it far more easier to follow once they've watched the series. Now, I was going to leave this as a surprise, not really as a surprise, but as a mystery, because I've been speaking to James the last few days on Skype, or the last few weeks on Skype rather, and we do sometimes say to us, oh, I've got this video to do, got this video to do, or got this video idea, that video idea. And I said to James, literally, you know, about half an hour to an hour ago, I said to him that I've got some Blu-rays coming on later in the week and I was going to keep them as a surprise. And I was going to keep them as a surprise in this video, but I've kind of just tipped my hat, if you will. You probably figured out by now that yes, I have the first 3 series of Game of Thrones coming on Blu-ray. So I was going to take the plunge and buy the whole 1 to 7 box sets, which is about £75 to £80 on Amazon, which actually for 7 seasons on Blu-ray, especially as at the quality of Game of Thrones, is a pretty damn good price. However, my plan is I've bought the first 3 series, and I'll be binging those as soon as they arrive. I've watched the first series of Game of Thrones. I watched that years ago when it first aired. And I have to say, I'll reveal at this point, I didn't think much of Game of Thrones when I first started watching it. I watched the first 3 episodes, didn't really think much of it, binged the rest and fell in love with it. However, although I fell in love with it, I didn't have the inclination to carry on with the show. So I didn't watch any of the other series. So I'm going to pick up from, I'm going to watch I think they're on the Blu-rays actually, I just realised. There is a sort of on the Blu-ray itself, there is a catch-up with Game of Thrones. So I could just watch the catch-up of Series 1 and then carry on from Season 2. Or Season 2, how you want to call it. So I bought the first 3 series on Blu-ray. My plan is to keep some of the money back that's currently in my bank account and then use that towards the final 4 series, seasons, whatever you call them, when I finished with, A, when I finish with those 3 series of Game of Thrones, and B, when I get paid, I'm going to use some of my money that's in my bank right now to supplement to my wages to buy the other 4 series of Game of Thrones when they come out, and I'll have all 7 series and I'll binge through those, and then I'll read the books afterwards, because people have said it's far easier to read the books once you've watched the series. Plus, the other reason for reading the books is, as you guys probably know, if you don't know, Game of Thrones is finishing in Series 8. It's done with Series 8, whereas George R.R. Martin still has 2 more books to write. He's writing the next book right now, and he's got 1 more book to write after that. So the books are actually carrying on past the series. Also, a lot of people have said that the books and the series are very different in a lot of ways. They kind of have to be, from what I hear. So yeah, that's the plan, and that's what I've got arriving later this week. I'll probably do an uncellophaning or an unboxing, whatever you want to call it, on the book box set, and there will be a Blu-ray update later this week on those Blu-rays when they arrive. Oh, I think I've got through everything I wanted to get through. Yeah, so it's been very up and down the last couple of weeks. I'm in a far better mood, if you can't tell now, than I was last week, which is good, because I didn't want this video to be down and, you know, dreary and that kind of thing. Anyway guys, like, dislike this video depending on your feelings. Press the subscribe button to stay with me, so, you know, for me to hopefully appear on your sub box. Hit the bell icon, make sure the quotations are around it and you receive a notification to your device of choice every time I upload a video. And as always guys, please take care and enjoy the rest of your day. Cheerio.